Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri, and is the world's first single barrel only liquor store. This business is owned and operated by Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to sign up for their email and text distribution list. That way you'll know what they have in stock, what classes are coming up, and what barrel picks they have in the works. We are also sponsored by The Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers a fully customizable carrying case that allows you to take your favorite distilled spirits or cocktail ingredients with you. Whether you're looking for yourself, a customized gift, or logo items for your business or event, The Bar to Go can help. Check them out at thebar2go.com. Use the number 2 when you type out The Bar to Go. Did you know Neely Family Distillery now ships its popular distilled spirits directly to you? To order, simply call 859-394-3258. Tell them the ABV Network sent you. And now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we complete a bracket challenge to determine what potential guests should be on the Bourbon Show's #1 priority. My name is McNew. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley, along with our special guests, Dana the Dreamer 6, Nate Weiniger, and Luke Otero.
Yeah, hey, gang, what's up?
Hey, guys.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
We've got a fun show today. We're going to be looking at what should be the #1 priority for our sister show, The Bourbon Show. There's what interview would we like to get? Somebody we haven't talked to before, so it should be fun. We'll get to that after the break. For right now, I wanted to throw out a topic here. Has anybody ever done something for someone, just an act of kindness that, I've got a perfect example here. Luke, who's great at these things. We got our big grand opening and getting ready for that. And it's going crazy, of course. We've got people in from out of town helping us. We've got spouses and neighbors and friends helping out too. And Luke sends over lunch, shows up, Jimmy John's shows up and they've got lunch for us and it's all covered. It's all, a lady comes in. This is lunch for you guys. It was sent by Luke Otero and this is for you guys. How nice is that? Luke is great at this stuff. I wish I got to learn from this guy because he's the best. Yeah. So my question is, has anybody else done something just nice for someone that, no strings attached? I'm just doing it because I want to be nice. No, Luke, you're alone here.
Let me give a little backstory. First of all, I'm very proud of Steve and Jim for doing what they're doing, because taking a step into this retail world is quite a step. And so kudos to you. And I know, just ramping up and getting busy, you got inventory coming in, you got cleaning going on, you got to get the POS system up and running, you got everything going on. I don't know if you have time to have a bite to eat or not. So I thought, what better way to say good luck?
Well, that was nice. Yes.
So
it was so nice. And yes, it was incredible. It was a great moment. And yeah, there's been a lot of great moments involved, but that was a highlight for sure. That was really nice. Yeah.
I don't want to say anything about myself, but I want to just say a story I remember about my dad when I was little and seeing kind of that act of kindness and a lesson learned. So I was about 4 years old. We as a family had gone to the zoo and we went to McDonald's. We got to go to McDonald's afterwards. And I was so excited to go to McDonald's. Back then, you get the Happy Meal, you got the playground out there with the Hamburglar and all that. And we were sitting at our table and we had gotten our food, and there was a gentleman, he was homeless, and you could tell he was struggling, and a lot of people were kind of avoiding him and looking at him wrong. And I remember my dad just walking up to him, putting his arm around him, just saying, "Hey, can I get you something to eat? Are you hungry?" And it took him up there and got him, I think, had some cheeseburgers and fries. And I remember that guy doing a spin and just the change in his demeanor. And I'll never forget it the rest of my life. And it was just a thing to remember. Like, you always need to give back to people. You always need to look for those that are in need, because you never know what your situation will be, but you always. And so I'll never forget that. I was 4 years old, and I vividly remember that to this day.
Wow, so. That's cool. McNew, anything from you or something that has happened to you that's just a great random act of kindness?
I mean, people are always nice to me, but like I like to send people flowers when I know that they're having a hard time, because like flowers make people happy, right? And it's so easy just to get on like 1-800-Flowers and send something. It takes all of 5 minutes. So like my best friend had a breakup. I sent her some flowers. I sent Mandy flowers when Jeff had his heart attack. My mom this year, her anniversary, it's her first one without my dad. I sent her flowers, which is funny because I only ordered one set of whatever I got. She's like, 2 arrived. Did you send me 2 flowers? I was like, I just bought one. I paid for one. I sent one. She's like, 2 came in the box. I'm like, well, I guess dad sent you some too. I don't know what happened.
There you go. Yeah.
So like, I like
cool.
to send flowers when I know somebody's having a hard time. That's my thing.
Yeah. Dana, the Dreamer 6.
I'm a firm believer of tip the bill. So now that I've been debt free for, I think, over a year, I've tried to tip the bill probably, I think, 6 times. So I guess that's
I love that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I hope you show up at the ABV Barrel Shop. We have a tip jar. Yeah, it's fun.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll come see you.
Yes. Dana. All right, that'll be cool. So yeah, random acts of kindness are nice, and I learn from Luke. I got to do some of these things. I try to be a good person, but I don't know that I'm doing as well as Luke.
I feel like I should do more when people are having good times. I'm just like, oh, your day sucked. Have a flower. I'm like, I should do this. Congratulate people. I
That's
guess.
really nice, though.
Yeah.
Everyone likes a flower. It's fine.
Yeah. So there you go. There is the put in a plug for random acts of kindness. So it is time to drink. What is everyone drinking? Let's start with Dana, who has a streak going of 4. Let's see if she can start out number 5 here with Boomer. What do you got?
Like this is the end, but I have a bottle of Jack Daniel's Triple Mash. So
Okay. Just decent. It feels like it could be beat. We'll see what happens. Hopefully it holds up for you so you can get a historic 5 for 5. We'll see. All right, McNew, what do you got?
I have a very loved bottle of Driftless Glen.
Okay. No, Dana still has the lead. Luke, what do you got?
I've got a bottle of Green River.
Oh, wow, that's what I had. I might have to redo that now. No, not enough.
Nope.
We'll go over to Nate. Nate, what do you have?
Oh, I want to see Dana get this historic 5 in a row. So I'm going with the Old Granddad Orange Cap Twist Off.
Okay. That means Dana has the lead. I'm gonna challenge Dana, but I'm gonna give her a strategic advantage. I'm gonna go with a 4 Roses pick by the Derby City Whiskey Society out of Louisville, Jeremy's group. But there's not much here. There's probably an 1/8 of a bottle left, so I'm not expecting much. But Dana didn't have much. Let's see if this thing's got life. You're gonna have to earn it, Dana. I'm not giving it to you by doing a screw top. So here we go. No, not enough. Dana. 5 for 5.
Oh.
Rarest of the cork pop challenges. Dana goes 5 for 5.
Dana,
Yeah.
go tell boyfriend that you're
Yeah.
I get a nice dinner.
What a
I
night.
get a bottle, right? When you
We'll see how well you tip. Cheers, Jay.
Cheers, guys.
cheers.
All right. We'll take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to be looking at what is an interview we should be pursuing on the Bourbon Show. We'll do that in just a few. First up is the ABV Barrel Shop. It is the most unique shopping experience in the world of bourbon, as the ABV Barrel Shop only sells single barrels. Owners Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot select. With over 100 distilleries on board to sell us barrels, we are home to the most unique and diverse barrel pick selections in the bourbon world. By signing up for our email, you will always know what we have in stock. In addition to the single barrels, we'll have a gift shop featuring ABV Barrel Shop as well as ABV Network merchandise. We are partnering with vendors like Art Eatables and Old Man Bay Signs to bring you unique items you can't find anywhere else. We will also have a 24-seat classroom where we are offering educational and fun classes like Breakfast and Bourbon, a series where we pair donuts and bourbon, customer barrel picks, and opportunities to learn from master distillers and other bourbon dignitaries. Best of all, we feature a tasting bar where you can try before you buy. All of this is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri. If you are in the St. Louis area, please stop by to say hi. If you're traveling in from outside the area, please take advantage of our hotel rates with the Drury Inn and Pear Tree Inn, less than a mile from our shop. This can be done via the links in our Visit St. Louis section on our website. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to plan your trip. The ABV Barrel Shop. It's where single barrels live. Hi, this is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network. We're sponsored by the Stave and Thief Society. This is where you, a bourbon enthusiast, can expand your knowledge and emerge a bourbon steward. In 2017, I completed my Executive Bourbon Steward certification. It's the most comprehensive bourbon certification program available and connects you with an expansive network of bourbon enthusiasts and professionals. Check out the full listing of in-person and online certifications and join the society today by enrolling at staveandthief.com. Okay, let's talk about the Neely Family Distillery. In 2018, I met Royce Neely at an industry event. He started appearing on our shows, and we became friends during my frequent trips to Kentucky. Today, he is amongst the leaders of young distillers leaving their mark on the bourbon industry. A visit to Neely Family Distillery yields insight on their unique family history, why their products are special, and gives you the opportunity to taste their whiskey, moonshine, and creams. Check them out at NeelyFamilyDistillery.com or visit them in Sparta, Kentucky.
This is Mr. Bill. You're listening to the Bourbon Daily. I'll drink to that.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we have a bracket challenge to determine who should be the Bourbon Show's #1 priority interview.
Yes, we are. So these are individuals that we have never interviewed on the Bourbon Show, at least in one case by themselves. I'll talk about that in just a second here, but we have interviewed one of these people, but as part of a duo. So this is interesting. And there's some big names here. These are folks, despite the fact we've been doing this for almost 6.5 years now. And the fact that, we've talked to a lot of people, there's still some out there that we haven't talked to. So the first one is Baker Beam. We've never talked to him. We would love to. Gosh, one of the all-time greats, and I don't know that he's ever done a podcast, but we'd like to talk with him. He doesn't have to know how to do it. If he'd be willing to meet with us, we could set up all he needs to do is speak in a mic. And we could do that with him. Next up is Fred No. That's the one that a little bit of a twist. He has been on the Bourbon Show before. It was a Fred and Freddie, which is a great interview. I mean, it's son and father, very cool. But I would like to speak to just Fred by himself. I think that's important. We've never done that on the Bourbon Show. Max Shapiro. I don't even know how we haven't been able to get him tracked down, but love to talk to him. That would be great. Next up is Matt Danker and Nate Weiniger, Hidden Barn. I mean, we want to talk to those guys. But, they're tough. They're tough to pin down. So we'll see what happens. We're working on that. We're working. Next up is Nancy the Nose Fraley. Again, kind of the Dave Pickerel type where she's helped so many brands. I mean, it makes sense to talk to her. We had her scheduled one time and it just didn't work out, and haven't been able to talk to her since. Next up is Drew Kulsveen. He doesn't do these things. I mean, he doesn't do interviews. He did one with the KDA for a while. The KDA had their own podcast. He did that one. That's the only one that he's ever appeared on. There's no other one. So and the fact when you don't do them just means we want to talk to you even more. I mean, Nate knows this. Tell me you don't want to do the podcast. see what my reaction is. Then I just want to talk to you even more. Then you're suddenly more interesting to me. The next one is an individual that I met at an event, and I would love to talk to her. Elmer Lucille Allen. She's the chemist. She was African-American chemist for Brown-Forman, I think in the 50s. So really groundbreaking, the things that she's been able to do. Worked an entire career, like 35 years. And then after she retires, she becomes an artist who's somewhat well known. So just an interesting individual. I think she's like 95, still active. I ran into her just last year at a Maker's Mark event, and I said, "Guy, could we talk to you?" And she said, send me an email, and she hasn't responded yet, which is a nice thing to do. Even if you don't want to do it, you're like, send me an email. We'll see. I'm hoping it happens though. We're trying. I every once in a while I check back in, and just when you think, just when you think things aren't going to happen, sometimes they do. So so you never know. So I'm holding on. And the next one is a guy who dropped out of the industry, retired before all this bourbon media thing really became huge. And he's never done an interview that I know of again for a podcast. So that's Gary Gayhart, the master distiller that followed before Harlan Wheatley and after, why am I forgetting?
Elmer T. Lee.
Elmer T. Lee. Yes, thank you. I dropped the name there for a second. So yes, the guy in between those two. I mean, and he's a Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Famer, so he's no slouch. I mean, So we would certainly love to talk to him. I have no way to get a hold of him. I don't think he's on social media or anything. So that becomes a challenge. So if somebody's hearing this and knows him, we'd love to talk to him. So that's the competitors. Here's how they're going to break out. Elmer Lucille Allen will take on Baker Beam in round one. Fred Noe will take on Nancy Fraley. Drew Kulsveen will take on Matt Danker and Nate Weiniger. And then finally, Max Shapiro will take on Gary Gayhart. That's how they will play out. And Nate, you're going to be first. What do you think, Elmer Lucille Allen or Baker Beam? Which one should we pursue stronger here? Which is the one we want to go after?
I don't know a whole lot about Elmer, and I'm definitely want to look that up now after that story that you just said. Baker, I know that there's been some renaissance with the new kind of rebranding of that brand.
Yeah, well.
Kind of bringing that to the forefront. So I'd say it'd be interesting to hear from Baker Beam.
Baker Beam. Okay, Baker Beam goes up 1-0. Luke, what do you think? Miss Lucille, as they were calling her at the event that I went to, or Baker Beam?
I'd really like to hear from Baker. Nothing wrong with the other at all. But Baker and his new project, Cask X, I think that's a very interesting project. But to get his take on the past, the present, and the future, I'd really like to hear that.
Yeah, he sounded like he was a character, a guy who would jump in a truck and go pick up grain when they needed it. This rock star persona, drove a motorcycle into work and stuff. I don't know. He sounds cool. But Dana, what do you think? Baker Beam or Elmer Lucille Allen?
No, how can you pass on a name like Elmer Lucille? Like, I'm going.
It is unique. If a woman named Elmer, I've never heard of that before, but
let's go.
Adds to the legacy for sure. Very cool. All right, here's where we're at, McNew. You're up next. Baker Beam or Elmer Lucille Allen?
Oh my gosh, they both sound like fascinating people, right? But
right.
I really feel like for listeners, they're going to be more interested in Baker because they're more familiar with him. So I'm going to go with Baker.
Baker Beam. Okay, that means Baker Beam moves on. Next up is Nancy Fraley and Fred Noe. Who do you think we should go after? Luke, you're first. Fred Noe or Nancy Fraley?
I've got to listen to Fred on a bunch of occasions with you and Freddie and together. Yeah. Great. And but Nancy Fraley just she's piquing my interest just for everything she's done. And so, I would go. She'd be, I think, the harder one to get. So I'm going to go for that. All
right. That means Nancy goes up 1-0. Dana the Dreamer 6. What do you think? Fred Noe or Nancy Fraley?
Yeah, I'm falling right behind because that, like he said, I'm totally interested in what she has to say because I haven't heard it.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay. McNew, what do you think? Fred Noe or Nancy Fraley?
So I think Nancy is very talented, very interesting, but Fred Noe never not makes me laugh. And when I listen to something, I want to laugh. I want Fred Noe all the time.
Fred Noe. Yeah. I've seen Fred Noe talk a lot, but I always want to go to the next one he's doing too. So I love the idea of capturing those
stories we have not heard. They're endless stories. Yeah. I want Fred Noe.
Yeah, Fred Noe, me too. So that means Fred has come roaring back here. He's tied this thing up after falling down 2-0. That means it goes over to Nate for tiebreaker. Nate, what do you think? Fred Noe or Nancy Fraley?
I'm a little biased on this because I actually have a friendship with Nancy Fraley.
Mm-hmm.
She was actually the first event we ever did with 5280 Whiskey Society. Years ago, she was willing to come out and
wow,
with Joseph Magnus and
cool.
launched Joseph Magnus, and it was when the cigar blend had just come out, and batch 1 through 5 we had at that event. And Nancy Fraley smokes a pipe. She smokes cigars. She hangs out until the late hours of the night with the whiskey club. And Nancy Fraley is one of the most knowledgeable people, especially blenders in the world, and not just for whiskey, for other spirits as well. And she goes to many distilleries you won't even know to help fix problems. So I love Fred No, and I agree with you. Great stories, heard some fantastic stories, but to get Nancy Fraley on your show, I think would be fantastic. She could really educate and teach people a lot. So,
All right. Nancy Fraley moves on. All right. Next up is Drew Kulsveen versus Matt Danker and Nate Weniger. What do you think? Round number 3, Dana the Dreamer 6. Who do we need to go after here?
I mean, I'm going to go after Matt and Nate.
Matt and Nate go up 1-0. What do you think, McNew?
I'm also going to say Matt and Nate.
Matt and Nate go up 2-0. How about that? There's a lot of desire to hear from these guys. I'm going to throw Drew a vote here because he's a tough one. And again, he doesn't have to do it. His products are so well received. I get it. But that doesn't mean I don't want to hear what he has to say, even if he thinks, well, I don't need to promote this because our stuff sells without that sort of promotion. Anybody who does this and is dedicated to that has an interesting story. And a lot of times, like Nate here, he'll tell you, I'm not interesting. I'm just a normal guy. But you know what? Everyone has a story. And the story of how they got to where they're at is interesting to me. And I think the right person asking the questions, I think it can be interesting for everyone. I would love that opportunity to talk to Drew. I don't know that it'll happen, but he is going to get my vote here. So that means he has life in this game, even though he is down 2-1. Nate, what do you think? Drew Kulsveen or you and Danker? What is the interview we need to go after?
Hands down, it's Drew. I was fortunate enough to be able to sit in on a private club, not mine, but someone, and he was there and talking, and just he's really a great guy.
Yeah.
He loves cigars, which I love too. I have a passion for that. And the other thing is he is approachable, and people they don't recognize him, but if you go to Willett and you go upstairs to the restaurant at lunchtime, I will say 90% of the time I've gone there, he's eating lunch at the bar by himself, and people that know who he is will go up and he'll happily he went with me, had a conversation, showed me a couple things. I've
talked to him at the distillery. I have done that, and he's approachable. He's a nice guy. It's not like he's surly or mean or anything like that. He just.
But I think he'd be great.
Yeah.
Yep, screw Matt and Nate. Those guys are idiots. So
okay, all right. So here's where we're at. It was quickly 2-0. Matt and Nate jumped to 2-0. Drew has come roaring back, though. He's tied it up. So that means we're going to need to go to a tiebreaker here. Round number 3. Luke, you're the tiebreaker. Drew or Matt and Nate?
Well, I think Matt and Nate are they're stars, and their stars can be rising for a long, long time. And I think they're going to be successful. And here you go, Dana. Accessible.
There's your word. That's something to say.
We can't say.
Yeah, but I've gotten to know Drew really well. Just being that we represent their product lines, and been fortunate to be with him individually.
You gotta love that guy, Luke. I would have to say, for you personally, he took a chance on you. You didn't have another bourbon brand. He took a big chance, giving you guys that, and trusting Willett, which is a quick growing brand. That's a big deal. And I would assume he's got you for life, and vice versa, because then you come in and you deliver for him. I would assume that relationship that he's got from his angle too is like, this is perfection. This guy has really done us right, and grown us in a state that can be tough for bourbon.
They embody everything that our little company embodies.
Mm-hmm.
They have the passion for everything they do for all the right reasons, which is the same thing we do.
Yeah.
And Steve, we take everything under our own arm and we make sure it's in the right place at the right time. And Drew is, like Nate said, he is approachable. He's just a hard worker, and I got to give my vote to Drew. And I hope one of these days you could do it, Steve. So once again, I'm going for the ones that are the hardest ones for you to get. So anyway, it's Drew.
Hopefully, Drew, maybe he'll listen to the show. Maybe you can point him in this direction, and he'll see that it comes from the heart. We want to talk to him because we want to talk to him. We're just fans. Right. All right, next up, round number 4. McNew, you're going to be first here. Max Shapiro or Gary Gayhart? Who would you like to hear a show from more?
I love the Shapiro family. I would love to hear from Max Shapiro.
Max Shapiro. Yeah. I too would like to hear from Max Shapiro. He did, they had the Heaven Hill podcast, and so maybe he feels like I've kind of been there, done that. But you know what? Yeah. I feel like, yeah.
They're very elusive. They don't come on a lot of things. So I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah. So I would like to talk to him. So he's going to get my vote too. So I'd love to hear from Max. Again, and I know that recently there's this change of leadership, but it's so amazing to think about. Because in my mind, for some reason, because Heaven Hill was formed long before I was born, it feels like they've just always been there. Like they're as old as Jim Beam is, and Max is only the second generation, which is crazy to me.
I know
that they're just transitioning now to the third.
I don't know how old he is, but I literally feel like he was born in 1920, and he's just always been there. So that's probably not helping the case. But
Yeah, he might be a vampire. I don't know. There's something going on there. It's definitely amazing, the fact, because just seems awesome. I know he hangs out at Bourbon's Bistro, for God's sakes. That's cool. If I ever went to Bourbon's Bistro and he was there,
Steve, that's the one you need too.
Right? Exactly. Yep. All right. So round number 4, McNew votes for Max Shapiro, as do I. So Nate, here's where we're at. Max Shapiro's up 2-0 over Gary Gayhart. What do you think?
It's easy for me. It's definitely Max. Max and Heaven Hell have been fantastic to 5280 Whiskey Society, and I would love to hear him on your show.
Yeah, so that'd be cool. All right, our final 4 is going to look like this. Baker Beam will be taking on Nancy Fraley. Drew Colsveen will be taking on Max Shapiro. Round number 5, I'm going to be first. Baker Beam or Nancy Fraley. To me, this is an easy one, not because I don't want to speak to both of them, maybe even equally, but Baker is close to 80 or maybe, he's in there and he represents, he's the patriarch at this point of the Beam. We think of Fredno, but Baker was, even above him there. And he just had a historic career working side by side with Booker, taking a lot of the heat for Booker. I know that Booker didn't like dealing with the suits. Again, they were already had sold out, so he was dealing with Chicago. Baker had to deal with. I would just love to hear some of those stories, or some of the stories about hanging out with his cousin and what he could bring from that. And of course, he hung out with everybody, Parker Beam and Jimmy Russell and all these greats, Elmer T. Lee, all these greats from the bourbon industry. Baker Beam probably has a story about them, so I'd like to hear from him. He gets my vote. Baker Beam would be high on the list. Nate, how about you? What do you think? Baker Beam or Nancy Fraley?
Yeah, these are both 2, I think, that I'd be extremely interested. I've had the fortune of, like I said, listening to Nancy numerous times, but I think going off of what you said, Steve, just with Baker, and that he hasn't ever really, maybe got to the table and done some of these things. I could understand that. So I could go either way with this, but because I've heard Nancy many times, I know she's fantastic. I think you could probably get her on the show. Baker would be the one that I think is going to be harder for you to do and harder probably to get. So, that'd be mine. So.
All right. Luke, what do you think? Baker Beam or Nancy Fraley? Baker's up 2-0, by the way.
Yeah. This is a tough matchup. Really is. Nate's right. You're right, Steve. But Nancy Fraley, she's a rock star in her own right. And I'm going to give her some life.
Okay. She has life in this game now, thanks to Luke. Yeah. Dana, what do you think? Nancy Fraley's down 2-1. You can end this right now and give it to Baker Beam, or you can give Nancy Fraley a shot at moving on. What are your thoughts?
Jesus. I'm gonna go Nancy.
Nancy. Okay, so
Yes.
McNew. Yeah, here's where we're at now. It's tied up. And what was the reason for there, Dana? How come you decided to go with Nancy? You were going to say that.
How come?
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've heard about Baker, but not Nancy. So I'd be interested in hearing from her.
More Nancy. Okay. All right. So McNew, here's where we're at. Baker Beam or Nancy Fraley. What do you think?
So for the premise of the show, it's who should be your number one priority. I think it should be the most elusive person. Nancy's available. You could absolutely get Nancy, Steve, if you sent the right emails at the right time. You could get Nancy. I don't think that's going to be an issue. You will get Nancy this year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say Baker because he's more elusive.
Baker Beam. Okay. That means Baker Beam moves on. He'll be in the finale. Who he's going to be competing against? Well, we'll see. It's going to be either Drew Colsveen or Max Shapiro. Round number 6. Nate, you're going to kick this thing off. What do you think?
Wow, that's a good one. I'm gonna give the edge to Max on that again. I just think that's someone I would really like to hear from and just what they built. So
yeah, Max. This is a incredibly difficult matchup for sure. Yep. Luke, you're next. Max or Drew? Which one do you think?
I've heard Max talk, and I think you could eventually get him, Steve. I think Drew was the harder one to get, so I'm going to go with Drew.
Drew, okay. Dana the Dreamer 6, what do you think, Drew or Max?
I mean, if I'm going with names I like, I'm going to go Drew. Just because I have no rhyme or reason, so I'm going to go Drew.
Drew, okay. Drew has taken the lead now, 2-1 over Max Shapiro. McNew, you're next. What do you think, Drew Colsveen or Max Shapiro? Who do we need to go after?
They're both very elusive, but for my own benefit, I need to hear the Max Shapiro story. So I'm going Max.
Max has tied it up. Boy, this is actually my life here. And some of these, like Nancy Fraley, we could probably have had her on, but you reach an impasse at some point, and then because she's busy, and then I get busy, and I move on, and I start focusing on other people, and then I kind of forget about Nancy, and then Fred. We've been close to having him on. It was really the first one where initially they asked me how many listeners we had. This is right when we first started. I was like, I threw up a bigger number than normal. I'm like, 200 a month, downloads. And they're like, no, you can't talk to Fred for that. So, and then as we grew, for a while I was like, well, then he can't come on. And, but eventually we got to the point where he could, but it just never worked out. So, but we're kind of there now. Where do you exert your energy? I don't know that there's a chance with Drew. I wish there was, but I just don't think he'd do it. I don't know. But then again, then it just happens sometimes. So, Max, I do think if I work the right way, I could get it. I need to work with Bernie, and that would help because he can testify for me. But I think the number one priority should be that one that is so elusive that you really can't get. So I'm going to vote for Drew. Means Drew moves on. It's where do you spend your energy, and I think you end up trying to get the ones that are harder to get. So I'm going to go Drew, setting up a very difficult matchup here. Baker Beam versus Drew Colsveen. Who should the Bourbon Show go after? Who can we say at the end of this year, if we get this person, the year's been a success? Round number 7, Dana, you're first. Baker Beam or Drew Colsveen?
Hey, all of you.
Yeah, it's tough.
But my lucky number 6, I'm going Drew.
Drew. That means Drew goes up 1-0. McNew, what do you think?
Who was it, Drew or Baker?
Or Baker, yeah.
I love a Beam story. I'm going to go Baker.
Baker. That means Baker has tied it up. Round number 7. I'm next. I got to go Baker too. I just, the tie-ins to the bourbon history is what I like, because there's not many that represent the generation before the generation that we're in now. There's not. I think it's Jimmy Russell, and I think it's Baker Beam. Is there other people out there? Yeah, probably a few, but not necessarily were major players like these guys. So I think that makes me want to talk to Baker. I mean, Drew represents today's bourbon, and he's a big player in that. but I love capturing those stories of previous years. So I'd love to talk to Baker. So I'm going to put Baker on the list. Nate, what do you think? Baker Beam is up 2-1 over Drew. What do you think?
Boy, either one's a good thing. So I'm going to go. I might go back to Drew on this, to be honest with you. I might go back to Drew.
Okay.
And if you could get Drew, it'd be a big get.
It would be a big deal, wouldn't it? Yeah, people would want to listen because he doesn't do these things. That's a big deal for us. When you forget that, and when you own a media company, people want to get what they want to listen to, who they can't hear, and that would be a big deal. So Drew would be. You can't believe how many times people are in here. We're talking about our barrel picks and what we're doing there, and they're like, "You ever get any of those Willet purples?" yeah, we got a bunch of them in the back. Yeah.
Buy every barrel pick. Yeah.
Yes. We're going to start doing those once a month. We'll have a Willet purple in here. Yeah. So it's just one of those crazy things. So yeah, there'd be incredible interest. But so here's where we're at. We're tied up 2-2. So everything we've done to this point, it doesn't even matter. It all comes down to this right here, right now. Luke, it comes down to you. Baker Beam or Drew Colsveen. Who do we need to go after? And if we get this person, it's been a successful year for the Bourbon Show. Who do we need to go after?
Well, these are the two I thought would end up in this position.
Yeah.
And, you had on the Bourbon Show, Harry Beam.
Yes. Yeah.
And he provided one of the most extensive histories of, if not the extensive history of the Beam family, which I really, really enjoyed.
People love that show. Yeah.
And it could have gone on for another chapter 1 and chapter 2, probably. So, and I know Baker could probably provide some of these stories about the Beam family and its history, but I think Drew is one of those quiet forces in the bourbon industry that's going to take it for a ways, and so I'm going to go with Drew, and I hope you could get him because. He is just a great guy. And I remember my first interview with you guys, and Stephanie, you were part of this, and you asked me, we had just gotten Willet, so you got to get any purple foils?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And actually, Drew has been very, very generous towards us. And we're the smallest distributor they have probably in their whole system. But you think about what Santa Fe Boutique Wines and Spirits has, and with Willet, it is just a great relationship, and I'm very proud of it. I'd love for people to hear about the Willet family. So yeah,
there you go.
Drew.
There you go. Drew is our champion. So Drew Colsveen's the guy we need to go after. That's the guy we need to talk to. That's going to be the one. If we land it this year, it's a success. If it's not, our year sucks. So we'll see what happens. We're going to work on it. So yes. Breaking news in between writing this story and the story being recorded, we did book Danker and Nate. So yeah, so that's coming soon. So yeah, that's our next episode. Yeah. That was not an easy one, was it, Nate? That was yeah. So
the first one, it's the first one of ours. So that's for sure.
So that's first one where we got those two together. So it'll be kind of cool, and it'll be fun stuff. And it's part of our series. We're going to do 3 bourbon shows in a row dedicated to Hidden Barn. So we got the Jackie one is out there right now. Matter of fact, as we record this, it dropped today. And then next up on the 15th, on the 1st will be Nate and Danker, and then after that on the 15th of August will be Royce. And again, we'll talk to Royce not about Neely Family Distillery, though I mean it may play into it somewhat, but we're going to be talking to him about Hidden Barn and what all that means. So it's exciting. It's exciting. So cool stuff. But yeah, our goal, we got to get Drew. Otherwise, everything we've done this year doesn't even matter. Even this great wins with Hidden Barn, we'll just throw all it away because we didn't get Drew. We haven't done a damn thing this year. Yeah, we'll see. All right. We'll wrap this one up as we always do by talking about where people can find us. Nate, we'll start with you. Where can people find you?
On Instagram, it's hidden_barn, and at hiddenbarnwhiskey.com, and that's good enough. Yeah,
that's good enough. All right, Luke, how about you? Where can people find you?
I'm going to be in Tennessee eating pineapple pizza with Dana.
Waiting in line for the next Coy Hill release.
Yes, it's a long line too. We found out. So
Having some Coy Hill, and
yeah.
in the meantime, you can find us find me on Instagram at Santa Fe Boutique Wines, and Luke Otero at SantaFeBoutiqueWines.com.
All right, Dana the Dreamer 6.
Everyone's welcome anytime, but you can find me on Instagram and Twitter as Dana the Dreamer 6.
All right, McNew.
I am on Instagram at McNew ABV.
All right, for me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. The important website, those abvnetwork.com. Check it out because everything that we do is out there. We put all of our shows out there. We've got like 3,000 of them for you to listen to. So maybe you're taking a long road trip. You're not going to get through 3,000. That'd be a long road trip to get through 3,000 shows. So that's all original content by us. It's all available for free at abvnetwork.com. McNew, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I would like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review. That includes comments. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. And if you like what we're doing, we ask that you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV
All right, great job today, gang. For our audience, we'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
Adios.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Peace. Before we finish the show, let's talk about some great companies that support the ABV network. First up is Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro has a full line of products to help the home distiller. Whether you want to experiment on the stove in your kitchen or you're looking for a bigger setup in your backyard, owner Russell Creed and his team can help. They have multiple still offerings, accessories, and even grain from their partners at Goldstone Mill to assist you in making whiskey on par with your favorite distillery. They can also help you with some fabricated parts you probably can't make yourself if you are attempting a DIY still project. Learn more or order your still or parts at moonshinestillpro.com. Another friend of ours is the Goldstein family at Goldstone Mill. The Goldsteins offer a variety of heritage and heirloom grains to make the finest whiskeys in the world. Plus, they are more than just a grain company. They are truly consultants to make sure the grains they are providing to you or your business meet your highest expectations. Additionally, they work with mills around the country, ensuring shipping is as low as possible for their customers. If you're a distillery, brewery, or even doing this at home, Goldstone can assist you. Check them out at goldstonemill.com, call them at 217-254-6613, or check in via email at hello@goldstonemill.com. Last but not least is the ABV Barrel Shop. While we don't get to play in the allocated bourbon game because we aren't selling the other products you have to do to get those, we do have access via our friendships in the bourbon industry to some really cool stuff. Have you ever seen your favorite craft distiller selling some really cool limited offerings only in their gift shop? I'm talking things like the hazmat offering Distillery 291 did for their 10th anniversary, or Neely Family Distillery's Papaw's birthday barrel. They don't have enough of it to send it out to distributors, so they only sell it via their gift shop. Well, companies like Distillery 291 and Neely Family Distillery have agreed to sell us 2 or 3 cases of these offerings moving forward, meaning our store will have the access to some of the rarest whiskeys in the world. Way more difficult to come by than the allocated bourbon offerings with a national release. Yes, they will be extremely tough to come by, but if you're a customer of our store, you'll have a chance to get them. Get signed up for our email or text list over at abvbarrelshop.com so you don't miss out.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.